Hello everybody, welcome back to the training of the Modicon M221. In this video we're going to see how we can link the variables from the EcoStruxure Machine Expert Basic into the EcoStruxure Operator Terminal Expert. So let's go to the presentation. So in order to communicate the PLC with an HMI, if we're using the Modicon M221, we have two different ways to do it, as I can show you here. We can use the Ethernet port of the M221 or the Modbus serial port that we have. Let me just full presentation over here. So we have, depending on the M221 that you have, we can one or two ports, but the idea, you get it, okay? You can use Modbus TCP as a driver in order to communicate with any of the HMIs inside the EcoStruxure Operator Terminal Expert, or you can use the Modbus serial. And the question that you need to use, or the question that you need to ask you is, which one are you going to use? You're going to use the Modbus serial and the Modbus TCP. And the other question is the HMI going to be the slave, the master, or is going to be, if you're using Modbus TCP, server or client? So let's try to see how we can work with the HMI along with the PLC. I usually work as master in the communication if it's serial line, and the PLC is going to be the server. So let's continue with this. So the idea in our example is to configure this on the HMI and this on the PLC. Okay, in a real target probably you're going to use only one, not the both of them. But let's see how we can work with this. So the first thing that we need to check is how we are going to communicate the PLC and the HMI, Modbus serial or Modbus TCP. Once you have that, you will need to check the parameters depending on each communication. Okay, if you are using Modbus serial, these are the parameters that we need to check. And if you're using Modbus TCP, these ones. Okay, and then also check the physical connection. It's not enough for the configuration if the physical connection is not all right. So if we are going to the EcoStruxure Machine Expert Basic for the M221, these are the parameters that we need to take a look. So let's go to the software just to show you where is it. So this is one of the applications that we were working with the M221. So if we go to the configuration and then we go to the Ethernet 1, you should be able to see here the parameters that we want. So let me just double check. What do we want? Okay, 1.8. Okay, this is correct. Okay, it's in the same range. If I configure this, the M221. Okay, and also this one, Modbus server enable. Now, if we go to the serial line, it's going to be configured as a Modbus. Okay, bar rate, perfect, it match, parity, it match, stop bit, data bit, perfect. Now, the other thing that we need to check is the if it's configured as a slave, now it's a slave, and if it's going to be the address, okay? Because if we are using the Modbus, only one device can be the master, so we should be the slave in this case. So let's go back here. Okay, that's it. Apply, and then we should be able to connect with the controller. So this is the PLC. I'm going to download this to the controller, so then we can focus on the HMI. PC, controller, and download. Okay. Okay, good. And now play. So the PLC side seems to be correct. Okay, and we already have some variables already defined here from the previous videos that we had done. Okay, memory bits, memory words, everything is in here. So now we can focus on how we can connect the PLC now with the HMI. So this is the configuration for the Modbus TCP part, configure as a server, and then for the Modbus serial as a slave. So if we continue with this, it's time to go to the Operator Terminal Expert. I have already explained this part, how to create a new project. Okay, so we're going to go forward on this one, how you can change the target. Okay, let's go into the Operator Terminal Expert in the other window. So I'm going to start a new project. And the project that I have next to me is related to the HMIST6 400. So target HMIST6, and I'm using this one. Okay. Functionalities, Ethernet, just in case. I'm going to use this one. 6.4. And I believe I have the USB already connected. So, yep. Okay, I'm gonna leave it like this. And I'm going to change only this to avoid asking me password. Okay, good. So this is how you can change the target. Okay, just go to target. You can change the name of the target that you want. Okay, I probably jumped this part. Here in the target, here you can put HMI training. Okay, change the name. Very simple, that part. The important thing here is this, to change the target, okay, to the one that you have in your project. When it is done, okay, you should be able to select how you need to configure the Ethernet port so it matches and is in the same network as the PLC. Okay, I do it too fast. So if we go here into the Ethernet port 1, this is the one that I'm going to use, okay. This is the IP address that I'm going to use, okay. And it's in the same network. Oops, I uncheck it. My bad. It's in the same network, okay, as the PLC, so we should be able to communicate. And here I can define this the gateway that I'm using in my network. Now, let's go to the presentation here. So we have already configured how to communicate, or how all the devices are like a standalone devices with the IP address for the PLC and the Modbus serial communication, and then the HMI Ethernet. Now it's time to connect them using the drivers that we have on the HMI. That's why we need to go now to the driver. So let's continue with this part. This is how you can add the drivers. Okay, this view of how to add the drivers is going to be available once you click on the driver. So if we go to the Operator Terminal Expert, you can see the driver is not enabled. I am clicking and there's nothing over there. So if we go here, drivers, we should be able to see the list of drivers. You can see here you have different PLCs, not Schneider. But if we go to Schneider Electric, this is the one that we're going to use for the communication in the M221 using Modbus serial and Modbus TCP. So let's continue with the presentation. I don't want to rush. So for Modbus serial, as I show you, this one, Modbus SIO master, and for the Modbus TCP master. Okay. So now in this one, okay, let's go and make this. So I'm going to add the Modbus TCP first. It's much simple. Okay, when it's added, you can see the driver name over here. And inside the driver, you can see the device. And you also have the possibility to add more devices over here. Okay, but in this case, just once. Delete it. Here I'm going to specify as M221. I'm going to use the Ethernet port. Okay, this is just the name, nothing else. Here, if you click over here in the equipment, you can find the right part, the thing that you can modify. Here, we need to assign the IP address of the PLC that we want to communicate with. And this one is the addressing mode. I recommend you to use the IEC syntax. Once you have this, there is nothing else to do in order to establish the communication. What we need to do later is to check how we can import the variables from the M221 into the HMI. But that will be another story. We're going to cover that in a few minutes. So let's continue. Okay, so in this way we have added like a device, the equipment M221 into the HMI in order to communicate. What we need to do now, if we want to use the serial, is to go again to driver, add a new driver, select the Schneider Electric, this one, okay, for serial line, okay. And you can see here on the left that we have another driver, which is different from the other one. As you can see here, the Ethernet port and the COM port. In our case, okay, I'm using the HMI ST6400 series, and the COM port is the COM port number, let me just double check, the COM port number 2 if I'm not wrong. So, I need to check this driver. If you go to driver, okay, here you have the specification of the driver, but we need to change the interface, which is the COM2, okay? So here in the driver, you have all the list as driver, and you have the possibility to change. In this case, for the Modbus TCP, there is nothing to change, but on the Modbus driver for serial line, yes, we need to change. Otherwise, if you use the COM1, let me just show you the HMI target. This is the HMI. In the bottom, you can see here, you cannot see it. No, probably now, yes. So here is the COM port 1, okay, and this one is the COM port 2, the COM2, in order to communicate with the M221 that is next to me here below. So this is what I meant for this. And let me just connect it back again. Okay, good. So we can see that later. Okay. Let me just adjust this. And now what we need to do is to add the device, okay, configure the device, the M221 serial line, okay. You can see here the definition IP address. There is no IP address here, okay. Just change this part. There's no IP address because it's serial line, but in the right part we are able to make some modifications. The equipment address, there's going to be the slave address that we have already defined on the PLC side, okay, here the slave, the address 1 as a slave, and here the syntax. Okay, so this is it for the configuration of the serial line port on the M221 to connect to the HMI, and then the Ethernet port to connect to the HMI to the PLC. So this is only the configuration, okay? I haven't linked any variable from the PLC into the HMI. That will cover in a few seconds. So if we continue now with the presentation, okay, this is what we have done so far. Okay, the COM2. And I believe this part pass it very fast. Just double check. Driver COM1. I forget to change it. I show you, but I haven't changed it. And there we go. So now it's all right. So if we go back now to the presentation, okay, it's the same now. It's the same now. Yes, yes. So if we go back here now, we need to make the same modification we had done, but instead of the IP address, is the serial line address, okay, for this slave. Okay, now it's time to import the files. And in order to link the variables from the PLC into the HMI, okay, we have the option to import the project that we have in EcoStruxure Machine Expert Basic into the EcoStruxure Operator Terminal Expert, so we can easily identify the variables with the same name and much simple. So this is how we can import the SMBP file from the M221 into the EcoStruxure Operator Terminal Expert. So let me just put full screen. In order to do that, we need to go to the symbol link. This symbol link allowed us to easily import the variables. So here we just go to symbol link, select here what we want to import, and we have two options. We can have different options. First, the equipment name that will depend on the equipment name device that we have already configured. In our case, it will be PLC, no, it will be M221 underscore ETH, or it could be M221 SL. And then we have a different format list that will depend on how we can show the variables. Okay, and it's based on this. You can see in there, let me just check a little bit something. Okay, as you can see in there, okay, we have, if we select the only Modbus, we should be able to see the variables that we have used, okay, the percentage M, MW, MD, and percentage MF. But if we configure this format list as name driven, we should be able to see more information, for example, the digital inputs, outputs, and so on, and also the system bit. So if we want to see more information, this should be the second one. But if you only want to show the variables that you have defined, then only Modbus is the best one. Okay. If we continue with this, okay, this is important. So in Vijeo Designer, we have the possibility to update, what's the name? Update link that will update the project that you have imported. Okay, so if you have added more variables into the original project of the PLC, you can see that change on the variables link on the variables list, so you can add it into the software. In here, in the EcoStruxure Operator Terminal Expert, at least with the version 3.2 Service Pack 2, if I know, not Service Pack 1, we don't have that option, okay? So we should be able to delete the variables, we should be able to delete the symbol link and then import it again. In Vijeo Designer, is if we delete those variables, okay, the variables that we have configured as in the alarms will be deleted and you need to do it again. Here in the EcoStruxure Operator Terminal Expert, even if we delete those variables, the configuration of the alarms is still in there, okay, so it's different, okay, so we just need to import again the project inside the Operator Terminal Expert to see it, but we're going to cover that in seconds. So what we need to do now is to go to the Operator Terminal Expert, okay. If we don't want to use to import the variables, what we have done in the past or in different projects is to just go to the variables, define a new variable that you want, okay, and instead of using internal variable, we just need to use the external. And in the external, you can see the different variables, no, the different equipments that you have defined over here, okay, depending on the driver that you have used, as you can see here on the top. You can see the equipment over here, M221 Ethernet and the M221 serial line. Then you should be able to go to the variables, define the variable that you want, and then the address. Here, for example, if I define 50, okay, and that's it. But in our case, and I have using this application, as you can see, there are quite a few variables to do it this manual, and it's not efficient. That's why we are going to use the symbol link. So I'm going to delete this part, okay? Delete with this option. Remember, there is no right click. So let's continue with this. Here in the symbol link, once we are in the symbol link, this option is enabled. So here, if we click over here, we should be able to select the device. So I'm going to use the Ethernet. Select only Modbus import. and select the project. Da, da, da. Just hold on a minute. Let me just find where is it. Okay, it's this one. Is the one that I have on the other side. This one, guidance. So open. As you can see here, it added, okay, the Ethernet, the M221 Ethernet with all these variables, okay. And now, for example, if I want to use another symbol link for the serial line, even if it's the same PLC, you can see the behavior. You can see here that the M221 Ethernet is not enabled anymore until we delete it. So serial line, I'm going to use name driven, import, select the same project. Da, da, da. Okay, so here you can see the different variables that have been added, okay, all this time, okay. So here, for example, memory bits, this one, you can see is the same one as the other one, okay, and it's already linked. So if we go over here, if we go to variables, you can see all the variables over here, okay. And the source you can see that is the M221 for the Ethernet. If we can scrolling down, you can find the other ones, the serial line, everything is in here. So this is how you can easily link the variables between the M221 and the Operator Terminal Expert. Now, this is something I showed you before, that this is something that we don't have on Vijeo Designer, for example. Once you already configure one of the alarm groups, for example, this one, I'm going to create only one for the digitals, okay? So I'm going to select one variable. Let's select this one. Okay, trigger condition, message, la 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 la. Okay, so if we are in, for example, we need to update the project, add a new variable, there is no update button at the moment, so we should be able to delete the symbol link that we have. Okay, symbol link, click over here and delete. So in this way you should be able to delete the symbol link. But if you see here in the alarm groups, there is an error because this equipment is not defined also the variable. So in order then, imagine that you have a new variable or something, you just can import again the variable, the project, okay? Go symbol link, here Ethernet, select the project that you have, and then the error should be vanished because we already have the same variable, the same everything that we already have. So this is how you can sort it out. So now what I'm going to do is to, for example, simulate and how is the connection. So let me just put this over here. I'm going to simulate this. So I'm going to use only in this case, I can only simulate the Ethernet, but then I'm going to download this into the real target. So let me see, what do we have? I don't remember the variables. Machine off, this one, for example, and I'm going to use this one for the serial line as L. Okay, good. So here you can see that I'm going to communicate and I'm going to simulate the PLC, the HMI in the laptop. So we can show you that I have communication. So as you can see here in the right part, this means that I don't have any communication, which is normal because this one is the serial line, but this one is the Ethernet PLC. So in here, if we go to this variable, then I believe it comes from this one, okay, which is in 0. If we change this, I want to show you that it's working. If we change this, if off, I believe it's this one. Okay, you can see how it changed. Okay, 45. If I change this to 55, you can see how it changed. Okay, so this is how you can easily see the changes, and this is the behavior when you don't have connection. Now, imagine that you don't wait to see that and you want to give a report. What you can do, okay, let me just, let me see how we can do it. All variables, I'm going to create a folder for auxiliar, aux, and int, for example, x indication, PLC Ethernet, okay, PLC ETH. We're going to create another one for the X indication, PLC SL for serial line. So the idea is to show how we can identify that we don't have connection and put that in a variable. So let's go over here. If we go to the screen that we have, I mentioned that we can go deeper and deeper in all the variables. So let's check this. Going to create this two numeric screen over here, and I'm going to show aux, oops, aux Ethernet over here, and I'm going to use the other one for a serial line variable over here. Here, in order to check this, you just need to go to the square and select what you want. In our case, variables. So here we can have a script, or we can use the global script in order to check the status. So let's go to the global script. Here in the global script, we can go to the toolchest and select on value change. Oops, value change. Now be prepared. Variable. Going to select any variable, it doesn't matter. Dot bit dot aux motor dot. Here we have more information: initial value, max value, value, and quality. So when the quality is different, okay, when the value, if I know wrong, the quality is 1, it means that we don't have communication, okay. It means that the PLC, we don't have connection to the PLC. So what we can do is to share that new value, okay, for example, value change here to the variable that I have created, variable over here, aux dot Ethernet, and we can do the same for the serial line. SL, they share the same variable, so it's going to be almost the same. So in this way, we should be able to see if we don't have communication. Okay, so if we simulate this, okay, this one is not going to work because we never have communication, but okay, good. So I'm going to connect from the PLC in here, so I can log out. I'm going to show this one, for example, here. So this one is the PLC. So if I change this, we should be able to change the value over there. You see there, you have the 1. That means that you have lost communication with the PLC. So even if I change this, we don't have anything. Okay, we don't have the communication. Okay, so you can see there's a red square. Now, if I connect again, which was the cable, this one. If I connect again, the Ethernet port, this one we should change. Okay, value change. Should be able to change this value, otherwise I haven't done something different. There we go. So you have the communication again. Okay, it changed. So this helps you to understand using the quality of the variable allows you to define if you have communication or not with the device. So let's see what is the behavior now with the real target. Okay, so let's going to close this and I'm going to download to the HMI. Okay, project 3, save it. Okay, let me just put the HMI over here. Okay, oops, there we go. So it asked me to keep this. I'm going to keep everything so I don't mess anything. Hopefully you should be able to see the variables with the PLC. It should be the same. So let's wait for this to finish the download. Okay, it's downloading. It's booting. Okay, just wait for this to finish. In this HMI, if I know wrong, I have the serial line already connected. I haven't checked the cable, so I trust that it's okay. And I have the Ethernet communication with the HMI. So here, we should be able to see the communication with the device. Probably I should change the brightness. Okay, you shouldn't be able to see it, but in there it shows 55. Let me just make this a little much bigger so you can see it, otherwise it's gonna be useless. Okay, so let's play it a bit with this shape. Select everything over here. So this one is the actual values. Okay, here let's play 50, 50, 50, 50. Okay, and this one's, sorry, it's taking so much time. It was an idea, but it's what we have. Here I'm going to 75, no, 80. So a little bit more. 80, 80, 3, 3. So now you should be able to see it without any problem. Okay, let's just download again. So the idea, it was hide by this, but that is the idea to show that. Just play around with the dimensions and the style and everything. Okay, let's make a little bit much bigger this. Wait for this to finish and then we can start playing, disconnecting the the cables, just to show you that one doesn't have communication at all. Okay, so there you have the 55 in both of them. Okay, so if I change one of this one to 8, for example, change the both, because this one is, for example, serial line, but it's using the same variable. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, let me just try to you have the two ports over here, so I'm going to try to disconnect one of those. So I'm going to remove the one for the serial line. So if I remove now the serial line, if then everything is right, the logic is right, you should be able to see this value changing. Okay, you can see now it's in 1 because I don't have communication. So if I change this 55, it doesn't affect on this one. Okay, and you can see now, probably now, let me just there, you can see the red box next to the in the square indicated that we don't have communication. Okay, if I change this again, you can see this one, it doesn't change anything at all. So I'm going to put again the Ethernet port, the serial line port. Okay, this value should change, and this one also, you can see. Now what I'm going to do is to remove the Ethernet port that I have. So it's going to be this side. Okay, so I have removed it. You can see the one that is in fault. Okay, and this value is not going to be updated. You can see in there, and probably in a few seconds you're going to see now um, the square box. Yeah, they're in red. So this is how you can see if you have connection with the device or not. Okay, and remember that this way is to see if you have communication, but sometimes it's useless to have this number over here. Just hold on. It's useless to have this number. So probably what you can do is to here link uh, to visualize an alarm or something to give more value to the HMI rather than that giant number. Okay, so what we have done today is to how we can easily link the value from the Machine Expert EcoStruxure Machine Expert Basic for the M221 into the EcoStruxure Operator Terminal Expert, importing the project and see all the values, all the variables. So thank you very much for watching this video, and I see you on the next one.